What's up, guys? Coach Austin here. Today we're going to talk about plantar fasciitis. What is it? Well, it's a very uncomfortable pain on the bottom of your heel. It almost feels like you bruised your heel, and whenever you step or walk or run, you start to feel almost like a needle going up into the center point of the heel. And that is where a lot of the fascia of your soleus, the back lower portion of your calf and your Achilles, wraps around the bottom of the foot, and it connects to the bottom of your foot there on the skeletal system. And that's where a lot of the pain will manifest itself. I actually dealt with it for 8 months straight many years ago as I was first starting to get into triathlon. I was banging my head against the wall trying to figure out something to take care of the pain. I wanted to, do Ironmans. I wanted to run marathons. I wanted to do it all. But I ended up slowing down my rate of progression because I was always training in pain for that 8-month period. I was searching online. I had seen doctors, and no one could give me a straight answer. How do I fix it? Before we get down into how to fix it and a little bit more reason on why it happens, why don't you guys click that like, smash the subscribe, tick the little bell, and let's get this fitness. Alright, so where we're going to start off today, guys, is we're going to talk about basically the most important reason why it happens. Your body ends up creating imbalances, and overuse injuries are generally created by imbalances. Imbalance is something that happens naturally as you go through your sagittal exercises, swim, bike, run, always in this direction. And as you start using a muscle over and over and over, day after day, that ends up causing an issue. First, we're going to talk about gear. Some of you have heard about rotation of shoes. When you're running and cycling and swimming, your calves are always working very hard. When you're running, that helps push off the ball of your foot, and when you're cycling, your calf, right, pretend this is the front of my ankle, here's my heel, your calf is always eccentrically stabilizing your ankle as you're spinning. And then obviously in the swimming pool, you're kicking, right? And let's say I'm going this way, your ankle is straight. We call that plantar flexion. Plantar fasciitis, plantar flexion, pointed, right? So what ends up happening over time is the calf and soleus ends up getting shortened. And what ends up happening is, in comparison to the other side, there's going to be a discrepancy in the length of those muscles. And that happens naturally. That's why we have to focus on several different things in order to try to prevent it before it even happens. Now I'm going to go a little bit deeper into how to treat it, but let's first talk about why it happens in the first place. It happens, one, is because you're not focusing on your mobility and myofascial release. If you want to see more about how to foam roll, right, self-massage, that's myofascial release, then you can take a look at my FTT foam rolling series. I can put that right here at the end of the video. And another reason is because of shoes. We have different shoe terminologies that tells us the different, basically there's a negative drop shoe, right? And we have, or zero drop shoes, where if, zero drop shoes is where your heel is going to be equal to where your foot is. Most shoes have your heel's going to be up higher off the ground than your toes. So what ends up happening if your heel is up higher? That means that your calf is not going to be as long as if your heel were closer to the ground. Just like if you're wearing high heels, this is very common for women, is their calves end up getting short, and they end up dealing with plantar fasciitis. So I'm going to suggest that when you're recovering, that you wear either no shoes, or you wear a shoe that is zero drop, or maybe even a negative drop, where your toes are up even a little bit higher than your heel in relation to the ground. Another reason this happens is because people have something called a lazy foot, or one of the primary movers to flexing your ankle dorsiflexion is going to be that shin muscle. Let me take off my slippers here, and I'll even get up on my chair and show you. So here is plantar, my toes pointed, and then there is dorsiflexion. When I'm in dorsiflexion, this muscle right here has to work really hard to flex my ankle up. And I noticed that a lot of the athletes that I help in person that deal with plantar fasciitis, their shin muscles are very weak. And remember, it's always a proportion, or relationship to the reciprocal muscle. How strong is your shin muscle in relationship to the calf muscle? So, making sure that whenever you do your single leg exercises, that you're always flexing your ankle up towards you. So now let's talk about the treatment. If I were to make it simple, everybody's always looking for a magic bullet, a silver bullet that answers all their problems. Well, guess what? Any complex answer can be answered in one word: balance. But if I were to want to give that complex answer, I'm just going to say, stretch the calf. Strengthen the shin muscle. You want to be able to equal out that relationship between the calf and the shin muscle, right? When I was banging my head against the wall, dealing with all this heel pain, training for, as a youngster for my first triathlons, I was always going through this pain, and no one told me, stretch your calf daily. Strengthen your shin muscle. If they would have just done that, the problem would have been fixed in literally a couple weeks instead of almost a year. It's just mind-boggling, okay? So you need to do your foam rolling. So let me grab my foam roller. So we got the foam roller here. Let's say I'm foam rolling, and here is my heel, and here's the bottom of my calf, and here's my Achilles. So I'm going to foam roll back and forth here. I'm going to shake my feet on here, and obviously I'm sitting down on my bum. And then also, I'm going to flex my ankle up. I'm strengthening that shin muscle, and then I relax. Flex into dorsiflexion, relax. And then I'm going to move it a little bit. Flex it up, relax. Flex it up, relax. And then you repeat that process. So it's not just foam rolling up and down, up and down. It's finding the tight spot, usually generally just above the Achilles and below that meaty part of your calf, and called the soleus. And you're going to flex the ankle, relax. Flex the ankle, relax. And that's not just foam rolling, right? It's going through a motion. And then also, we call that a calf rub. And also, another problem this happens is super common in the industry is that there's not a machine at the gym that focuses on strengthening your shin muscle. So by trusting your big toe when you're on a single leg, that means putting pressure on your big toe. I call it trusting the big toe. A lot of times people will lift up their big toe when they're balancing on one foot. Put that big toe down and then really try to spread open your toes. Also, what ends up happening is when you're picking up your foot, remember that lazy foot, your ankle's just droopy. You need to, every time you pick up your foot, when you're walking up stairs, when you're jumping, you should flex the ankles up. And of course, you don't want to land like that because that'll be too much impact on your joints. So you flex them up and then you relax them and then land mid-foot, especially like when you're doing box jumps and stuff like that. If you see a lot of novice people doing box jumps, a lot of times what ends up happening when they don't make it is they're jumping with a lazy foot and their toes catch the top of the box and then they fall and hit their shins. So One, foam roll. Foam roll, foam roll, foam roll. That means doing, the rub and then foam rolling back and forth. Flex, relax, and then move the foam roller up. Flex, relax, relax. Also, if you wanted to grab one of these, and whenever you're just hanging out at the couch, you need to make sure that you're massaging the bottom of your foot. We're always looking up the chain, but there's a lot we could be doing on the bottom of the foot that's going to help alleviate the pain as well. So focus on getting the arch of the foot. And let me take my sandals off and let's try this again. So you want to... Whoa, that broke. So you're going to end up getting that portion of the bottom of your foot. So next, you need to be able to pull your big toe up. Put pressure on the big toe. So if I have the big toe here, and I know this is a bad way to demonstrate the video, you're going to flex that big toe up. What it's going to do is it's going to pull the slack from the bottom of your foot. And remember, it's all connected. You have these fascial planes. So basically, from your forehead all the way down the backside, past your butt, past your glutes, in your calves, through the bottom of the foot, and then into your toes, all that fascia is connected. It's a big sheath of muscle fiber. So you're trying to get the pain, right? You're trying to get the sheath of fascia towards the toe and the sheath of fascia up towards the glutes. And remember, it's not just a treatment of the calves. Your hamstrings, if those are eccentrically tight, meaning they're weak and overstretched essentially, that you need to be able to foam roll and stretch those out as well. 10 out of 10 times, whenever somebody's dealing with this, is they're in their work shoes or their hangout shoes. They're not a zero drop shoe. Their heel is usually up higher off the ground than their toe. They don't rotate their shoes enough as they're running, and they're not doing myofascial release. They're not using this to massage the bottom of their foot. They're not flexing their toe up to get rid of that slack in the arch. So if you do those things, you're going to get rid of your plantar fasciitis really fast, and you'll be pain-free, right? So that's essentially it. You talk about, let's recap what we talked about. Flexing the big toe up, taking the slack out of the arch, treating the lower portion of the calf, the soleus, by foam rolling and then flexing the ankle, and then also to do rubbing, rotating your shoes out so that your heel is closer to the ground, and then stretching your calf on a regular basis. Remember, swim, bike, run is very calf dominant. And then also when you're doing your box jumps or you're walking upstairs or you doing your single leg exercises, you're always flexing that toe, that big toe up towards your shin. That's going to strengthen the shin muscle. So it's going to decrease how overactive your calf is, and it's going to balance out that ratio between calf and shin muscle. And then just being cognizant of preventing it for future use, because like I said, I've never met a person who is doing those things who experienced plantar fasciitis. I've helped many athletes, serious athletes, take care of this problem. And it takes about 15 minutes to explain this. And I wish that I had this type of information when I was going through that type of pain. So let me know if you had any issues with your plantar fasciitis, and let me know if this helped you. Again, click that like, smash the subscribe, tick the little bell, and let's get this fitness. Coach Austin, later.